Yeah, let's go. You guys hear me okay? Cool. Thanks for coming, everybody. So this is a Ask Me Anything session. I have my slides from yesterday. Some of you were here yesterday, some of you weren't, no biggie either way. But I'm going to bring up, oh, that's a wonderful picture of me and my family, if you want to see that. If you weren't here yesterday, my daughter has a rare disease as well, the one in the peach right there. It's not the same one as yours, but that's why I'm in this financial planning world for families like yours, because she's a little fireball, and she gets all the attention that she needs in that way as well. Okay, this is just kind of a diagram of where we work, so I like to just show that. And I am willing to ask any questions. I had him bring my slides up from yesterday, so if there's something that we covered yesterday, I'll just kind of go to a slide of it. If it doesn't have anything from yesterday, we'll just try and spitball and answer it. If I don't know, I will say I don't know. I will probably get your info after, try and find the answer for you. I'm not going to say that I know everything about everything. I know enough about a lot of stuff, but if I don't know, I'll tell you. Okay? Who's the most adventurous person? I have also,
and we have a microphone.
Before that, also I have giveaways for question askers up here. So it's a wide variety of, let's just say, wonderful random stuff I had in my purse, stuff I bought in the little gift shop down there. So who knows what you're gonna get if you ask a question, but I do have it up here, so bribery works.
Okay, so I wanted to sit in yesterday's session,
Yeah.
but I was pulled away.
Right.
He's 20.
Yeah.
Oh. Where do I start?
Yeah, where do I start? Yep, I knew you were gonna ask this. Would you like a sparkly pen or one with a dime? Or
I'm not picking.
you wear jewelry? What you got over there?
I wear kids made jewelry.
Oh yeah, this is up your alley. Here you go. This is a Brave My Intent bracelet. So think of that for asking that question. So thanks for being brave and asking the first question. Okay.
Thank you.
So 20-year-old. I have a 20-year-old. Where do I start?
I have a 20-year-old. So
Yeah.
I filed guardianship. So we
Cool.
have guardianship.
Great.
We started a special needs trust, but when the little part that I heard yesterday was there was a differentiation between a first party and
yeah, let's go to
that part I don't know.
Yep. Let's talk about that a little. Let's put that up there. Okay, so let's start with, we have done some estate planning, sounds like.
A little bit.
A little bit.
We've started the process of a third party special needs trust.
Great. You have your will done?
Yeah, my will's done.
It's all in them.
And my husband's. Okay, yeah, our will's done.
Okay. So the Wi-Fi. Oh, the Wi-Fi. So where do I start? I would say if you're 20, we consider Social Security income. So SSI is one of the things we should apply for post 18. Okay. Now SSI is a means-based system, so we can't have assets directly in their name to qualify for that. You're already on a Medicaid state waiver that is already applicable, so they probably don't have assets directly in their name. Okay.
We don't have that.
Yep. You don't have that limit. You don't have that Medicaid waiver.
I don't have
Medicaid. Yep. So SSI is post 18. Medicaid waiver is after they're 3. You can apply for a Medicaid waiver in your state. And if you think of SSI as monthly money coming into the house, think of the Medicaid waiver and the state system as health insurance. There are other benefits that can come to the waiver, but if you can kind of separate those two out, it's easier in our heads to quantify them. So SSI when they're 18, Medicaid waiver post 3. After they're 3, you can apply for that Medicaid waiver. It's waiving your income. So if you think you're at an income level that you don't qualify for, there are waivers that you can have any income level and it can be applicable to your family. You got to look it up in your state. Not all the states have it. Some of the states have what they call a Katie Beckett waiver, so that should be everywhere. Now some states have dragged their feet to implement that, let's say, and that is strictly Medicaid, nothing else that comes with it. Oh yeah, it takes a long time. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. Sometimes it's a paper application. So the process of Medicaid waiver is paper application. Someone will come out and ask very hard questions, real questions, and you have to answer them in the reality of what's happening in your family, not the optimistic, wonderful view that I sometimes want to have. They will look at your finances, but it is the finances of the child that they're reviewing, which they should have 0. And then you will get approved if you get approved, or you'll be on a wait list.
Like supplementary health insurance?
Yeah, so a lot of people have primary still, and then they'll have Medicaid as a secondary. Just because depending on your medical team, they may not just take Medicaid as a blanket insurance, especially if you're having some counseling. The mental health profession doesn't always take Medicaid, is the ones that are hard. Or if you travel out of state for other things, then you got to just make sure you have that primary in place first. Then, so we're on the waiver. We got in the waiver when my daughter was 4. So she's on my husband's health insurance, and then Medicaid picks up everything else. And we were February, 10 grand out of pocket right away because of her prescriptions were so expensive. So it saved us 10 grand a year. Estate planning, let's get to kind of that part. You can do a couple different ways, okay? So you do need to get your wills. I can find that slide. Yeah. You need to get your wills, a power of attorney. So this is for you as parents and caregivers. Will, power of attorney, and medical directives for you, for each other, okay? You can create a special needs trust today and have it live. Now, if you have something to put in there, then let's do it. Let's create it today. If you have grandparents that want to name it out in their trust, create it today. Throw $100 in there. I think there's a misnomer too out there that a trust is an account. It's not an account. So think of a trust, what example should I? It's almost Christmas, right? So think of a trust as a present. The wrapping paper on outside the box tells SSI, Medicaid, this doesn't count as an asset. The box can hold anything you want inside of it, right? You can put accounts in there, a house, you can put stuff inside the box. Okay, so think of a trust in that way rather than it's an account. It's not an account. You have to have something in there that is an account, right? So you can open whatever account you want. So you can stand it up today. You can also have it be called springable. So I did my estate planning when Ruth was 2. I did not know what her outlook, life in general was going to look like. So we set up a springable special needs trust, which means upon me and my husband passing, Ruth needs to get evaluated to see if she needs a special needs trust. And then we also have a trust for my other daughter because no 18-year-old should get a lot of money, just in general. So we have a trust for her for the whatever percentage of our assets we want to go to her, and she'll get X amount for college, X amount to buy a house. Then when she's 30, she can have it all or whatever. Now I need to redo my stuff because Ruth's now 8, so I'm close to that 5-year mark where I should review everything. I would make it so there's no evaluation. She's on a waiver. She's going to be on SSI, and to me that means she's just going to need a special needs trust. So I would take away the part that she. I can just talk real loud.
No, we gotta get.
Yeah, I have a video. Okay.
Yeah.
So the evaluation part is now, it's not relevant because she's on a waiver. I'm gonna hit myself and knock myself out. Yep. So that part should be taken out of ours. And then we do have some grandparents that want to contribute in their estate. So I probably in the next round of legal will just create a special needs third-party trust. So they can name out their estate to it. I can name out my estate to it. We're good, right? To protect Ruth, so those assets will never come directly in her name and she can stay on federal and state benefits. I don't know if I touched on everything.
On the trust, you do have to file that on your taxes or your tax return, or it has to
The
file
trust is its own entity,
Right.
basically.
So
It has its own tax return.
Right.
Yep. There are logistics with trusts. There are paperwork. There's things to do. So for sure, the tax does have its own EIN. It will file its own return. It is, the stuff you put in there is taxed at a very high rate, which is hard for me to tell families because the reaction I get is, well, that's messed up. You're right. It is. It is. All of our systems are trying to protect from people that are the bad people that are taking advantage of the system, which I feel like is less than 1%, but we have to go through the hoops of whatever that means. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Between the two different types of trusts there.
Yeah. Can I distinguish between the two different types? Yes. Let's go back to that slide. Okay. So a first party is everything that would be in your child's specific name. So where that becomes really relevant is in settlements. I see a ton. So if there's some kind of birth injury, for adults, it's usually a car accident where you would get a settlement, right? That's coming directly to them. Even if they were a baby and they had that settlement and they sue a hospital, hospital pays them out. It has to go into a first party because that's actually money in their name. Okay, so it's always a possession of money game. Also in divorce, child support has to go in there, certain things during a divorce. Alimony is to the other spouse, but child support is for the child and it would be in their name. I don't love talking about divorce, but a lot of us get divorced. And also divorce, you should ask for support past 18 in general, because you'll be taking care of your kids past that time. Military pension survivor benefits. So I got this question today. So if you have a pension through your job, you can do a survivor benefit. Now, there are pluses and minuses to that. One of the hard parts to manage with that is $2,000 limit. There are also income limits. There's asset limits and income limits. So if we push over the income limit for your child because they're getting a check from your pension every month, it's just more management of the money. So yeah, we got to move it to other buckets and that's okay. But it's anything that comes back to them. Now, the thing that people don't like a lot, it's a Medicaid payback. Anything with the first party, so their monies is Medicaid payback. So if you think of it in the large, big picture, Medicaid saying, well, they have money. You haven't used it all. You used our services. We want that money back. Characteristics, I don't make the rules. I see you guys darting me with your eyes. So the preferred trust for your assets is a third party, because it's everybody, literally everybody else but your kid can put money into a third party. It can have a remainder beneficiary. So you saw in my picture, I have a 10-year-old as well. So in our trust, everything would be for the benefit of Ruth. She passes and doesn't use all the money. It can then go to Charlie or a non-for-profit or whatever you guys want the remainder to go to. Okay. And it must cover supplemental needs. So I get asked a lot, because we'll probably talk about ABLE because we're going down that road. Do I need, which one do I need? You usually need both. Okay. You can't pay for housing out of a third-party special needs trust. It's not supplemental. That's lifestyle. And the theory is that all of the benefits they're getting, they should be able to pay for housing, which we all know is, let's call it a joke. That's a joke, right? I can't pay for housing with the amount of money that I would get from SSI anywhere that I know of. So you would have to move money. You can move money from a third-party trust to an ABLE. You can make a transfer to pay for housing out of the ABLE. The question is if it's in your will. So yes. Yes.
If I leave assets after I die, because then that kind of becomes his, but not until I put it in the third party trust.
You name
is
the
that-
trust. There shouldn't be any intermediary
Okay.
in that will. It should say assets for him need to go to this trust.
Okay, and that can
How
be a
it should
third
be
party.
dictated in the
Thanks.
legalese of what a will has. Okay, great questions. Wait, hold on. People have asked questions. I haven't given out prizes. I have Starburst. I have Yeah, which one? Okay. Yeah, you get the M&Ms, absolutely. Who else asked a question? I have pens. I have this. This is actually a really cute bracelet. It's linked before you sync, and it has a bike. Anybody a biker that asked a question? You're in? Yeah, I'll give it to these kids. Yep, 100%. All right. Who's next? I didn't get you anything. Do you want a shirt? What about a pep talk postcard? Okay, you get to pick whatever one you want. Yeah.
Kind of on a different topic, but for SSI
Mhm.
application, I know that there are some disabilities, like for example, Down syndrome, where if you have that diagnosis, you qualify. I'm guessing WSS isn't on that list. Are there any tips for like, how do we document or make it clear that this is a disability that we need to qualify for?
Yeah, I love this question. It has multiple parts. So remind me of all the parts. Documentation is one.
Yeah.
Okay. Our kids are never going to be a checky box on any application, 2. And then just SSI applications. Okay.
Yeah, just any
Okay.
strategies.
And this is applicable not just for that, it's applicable for Medicaid as well, applications. So let's just say all applications. We have to keep our documents. I have a fair amount of clients that the parents are in their 70s or 80s. That means their kids are in their 40s, 50s, and there was no IEPs then. There was no diagnosis. There's lots of stuff going on, but they don't have any of that documented. So applying for services becomes very difficult. So anything with a diagnosis, I mean, my daughter had psychology analysis before her surgery. I mean, we keep everything because all of that's going to help because we're not a checky box on application. Now, the closest you can come on most applications is a neuro, something with neuro is definitely on there because they know there's a group of us that don't fit in anything. So usually there's a neuro difference, all of that stuff. Okay. I would not say the autism checky box really helps us either because autism doesn't get the benefits they deserve as well. You can check multiple boxes, but you've got to put your main, I would say WSS is your main diagnosis and how that impacts them. Attach sheets, attach medical records. I was a pain in the butt to my state of Washington and I attached Ruth's medical record because they're going to pull them up anyway. But I was like, here, I'll just provide it for you. It was 250 pages front to back. It's like, you're welcome. Did a service for you. So there's never going to be a checky box. There's never a checkbox for rare disease either. So it's usually neurodivergent.
And is that like, I know one example we have had with our county disability when we applied, they asked for the psych eval, which is great. And we had it. And then they said, oh, his adaptive scores are too high, so he doesn't qualify.
Yep.
Is there?
There's no way around that. So a lot of states are doing different things right now. So they, in Washington, just threw away IQ, which we were talking last night is helpful and not helpful, depending on what side of it you're on, right? But now they have psych eval,
Yeah.
right? And you have to have a certain score on that to qualify. So there will be people that are in that middle, but I would really then advocate for what is the day-to-day and do we have that documented of if that's very difficult, right? You know, the ADLs I always defer to. So that is in elder care, activities of daily life. Okay, so if you refer to those, any place will know what that means. So can they transfer? Can they dress themselves? Can they feed themselves? Can they bathe? And if any of those need assistance, document that. Okay. Applications for these are a grind. I'm not pretending it's fun. The one thing I do like about SSI is you can apply when your child turns 18 in one day. Okay. Let's say it takes a year to get approved. You can then, we will get back paid to the date of application. Okay. So it's not like you lose out because it takes so long. Just keep up the good fight. Be the annoying, hey, it's me. I called last week. Just checking on that status. I'm really nice. Please help me, right? Medicaid state waiver systems are the same. You just got to keep grinding it through. Theirs is not as friendly. They will not backdate health insurance, which makes sense. So you will get approved when you get approved. Kind of answered all the parts, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
There's no magic thing to check. Anybody? Who's the next? You want a prize? You can get you want a postcard? Oh, for those fresh breath, I have Altoids. No. It's not opened. Unused. Yes.
Here you go, sir. Sir? Here you go.
Since a lot of this, the special needs and the able is kind of federal programs.
Yep.
And with the recent change, coming change in
Lord,
administration,
Political question.
tell us what you can.
So I did get asked this morning as well. I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, I'd be such the best planner ever. There's a couple parts that I think are scary for our families. One is Medicaid is state administered, but there's federal monies that are matched. That doesn't feel great, right? Because if Medicaid gets reformed, repealed, anything with an R is most likely not friendly. You need to be in a state that can fund it on their own, which the one that I know that can probably do that is California, because they pay a lot of tax and they got a lot of people with money. So we won't talk about that. So if things get not in our favor in the next 4 years, you got to look at states that could probably self-fund those programs. And even if California has a really robust program and they had to cut some back, it's still going to be more than some states have even now. The Board of Education is worrisome, I think, for our families. So if the Board of Education goes away, then how are we going to have IEPs and funding for the schools? Those are my two major ones. So you just kind of have to look at the Medicaid outlook of your state, and can they self-fund without the match from the federal government? It's political questions. You don't get a prize. No, I'm joking.
Mary over here.
Yeah.
Further question on the ABLE accounts. So what we have set up kind of right now is we use the ABLE as like a savings. Like whenever we get over that limit, in the bank account, it just goes over to ABLE until it's needed. You talk about sort of the benefits or differences of using the ABLE as a checking account for expenses, and then as opposed to what we do with savings.
Yeah, I think it's just a definition of checking and savings. So I'm thinking of savings as large assets. So the family's assets to go in the trust. And I'm just trying to differentiate between that. You can use it as a savings as well. The only thing we just have to know about is the Medicaid payback. So just how much savings are we talking about, right? If we're talking about $5,000, cool. If we're talking about 100, that starts to affect SSI. If we're talking 500, some things get affected. And I think the max in Enable is 500,000. So we're talking about how much savings is there, and you can only contribute 18 grand a year in 2024 and 19 in 2025. So it's a level of savings that we're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definition of Enable. So Enable, is anybody familiar with a 529 college funding account? Okay. This is just a 529A behind it. So when they rolled this out, it was based off of a 529, but our kids can use the funds for more things than just college. Okay. Has the same mechanism tax-wise, kind of acts the same, talks the same, but we can use it for more things. It comes with a prepaid card. In some states, you got to check your state. But it gives your child a little autonomy if they want it. You can actually have a card for their specific expenses as well. And then the definition of qualified disability expenses is very vague and amazing. Health, benefit, and wellness of the person can mean a lot of things to different people. Okay, so example I gave yesterday is, let's pretend Ruth is 25. She's working at Mod Pizza, gets $2,000 in wages. And let's pretend $1,000 from SSI, $3,000 into her household. She can only have 2,000 in assets at any given month. She's going to pay me $500 in room and board because she's over 18. She still has $500 and she's not spending it down. She doesn't have anything to buy that month. Can put 500 into an ABLE and it won't disqualify her in any way. So it's more of a, like in my head, that's why I call it a checking. It's more loose than a special needs trust. It has some features where you can spend the money out very easily. It has all the things on here. Now, it is a Medicaid payback vehicle. Everything first party, we talked about that. Everything first party is a Medicaid. So is this, okay? So let's say Ruth, play this out 50 years. She keeps contributing. She has 50 grand in there and she passes away. She can pay off any of her private liabilities if she has any, and then a burial, and then Medicaid will come and claw back the rest, okay? There's no first party vehicle out there that doesn't have that provision, okay? So we're not getting out of that. Cool. So that's why we have both usually, right? So what I talked about with the third party trust, if let's say after I'm gone, all my assets have dumped into the third party trust and Ruth needs to pay for housing every month and it's $3,000 a month. She doesn't have that in her ABLE and she's not getting that from wages and SSI enough. I can move money from a third party to the ABLE to pay for housing. It's a possession of money type of situation for most of the things that we're trying to solve in a puzzle like that. Oh, bless you. You're welcome. How's that sparkly pen? Awesome. All right. What else we got out there? Oh, yeah. You already got a prize. You don't get 2 prizes.
Recommendations on how to find an estate lawyer or financial planner that is well versed in this topic.
Yeah. How do we find financial planners and estate planners? I'll be your person. I'm your financial planner for sure. Okay. We work in all the states. There you can Google special needs planners in your area. There could be some for sure. I think a lot of people in my profession dabble. So they have a mix of special needs and regular clients. And we only help those. I think if I'm in it every day, it helps. So that's my commercial plug for you. Lawyers, there's 2 routes, right? So estate planning and then I think guardianship. Okay. So the guardianship one's easier for me to answer and then we'll go up to the estate. Guardianship is state and county specific. So you have to look very local for those attorneys. I look for adoption attorneys. They know all the rules, guardianship, conservatorship, POA, whatever it is. So if you're kind of in that cusp 17, about to be 18 and you need guardianship or conservatorship, look for adoption attorneys in your county and they will be able to help guide you in that. Estate planning attorneys, there is an amazing website, Academy of Special Needs Planners. There's 2/3 lawyers, Academy. There's 2/3 lawyers in there and 1/3 financial planners. You do have to be a member to be on their website. So they don't go through any screening other than they're on that website, but it's a place to start. Interview them. I think all of this kind of like, who's your person? It's okay, do you have the credentials to do it? And then are you my person? Like, can we have a conversation and you're going to treat me like a human? So it does take a little effort to kind of screen them out and find out that. Now we know people in the areas we work in. So I have Washington, I got people in Oregon, got people in Idaho, and then my partners are on the East Coast. We got Virginia, DC, New York, Carolinas, and we have good references for those, but we need an advisor. We're trying to recruit another advisor in the middle of the country. So then we can have more coverage for finding out the best people, because that is what we would like to make sure we're doing. I screen out a lot of lawyers in my area to make sure I find the right ones.
You said the guardianship is state and county specific. So what if I were to move after I go through the guardianship to a different state?
Yeah, I love this question. You have to get it re-registered in wherever you move to.
Got it.
You're welcome. I'm like, man, I don't want to answer. Maybe this Q&A session wasn't a great idea. It is easier. You don't have to restart it. You don't have to start over. And let's just talk about that process in general and the differences. So guardianship is going in front of a court and petitioning that your person needs someone to come alongside of them and you want to be that person. Okay. POA is a document that they can sign, power of attorney. Sorry, I should not talk in acronyms. Power of attorney is a document they sign that says, I'm willing to give this person my same rights. They have to be willing to sign that. So it's usually a, it's if they can sign a legal document and be of sound mind is the differentiator there. Lots of strong opinions about guardianship. I think it's very needed in lots of cases. So it's your family's choice. And don't feel bad if you need to get it. Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's a checklist of things they can do. You can vote, you can still get married, you can do other things, but to be in a medical appointment, a doctor is going to want to know why you have the right to be there once your kids are 18. And they can say you don't have a right to be here. And if your child's feeling spicy that day, they can also tell you that you don't have a right to be there as well. And then the financial is, how's the money getting spent? Is it appropriate for the person? You're just their guardian of their finances as well. It's different. Also, this is super helpful. It's called different things in different states. So guardianship can be the person in one state and conservatorship is the money. Estate person, estate medical. You can go to the lawyer and say, I need it all, or I need a portion. And this, you just tell them what you need to be able to do. I need to be able to be in the medical appointments. Cool. Here's a document you can kind of make sure you have with you. Some medical facilities do provide them as well. So like a children's hospital is gonna know, and if they will see your child post 18, so a transition that it's hard to talk about as well is once your kids are 18, their pediatrician might not see them anymore and you have to switch to adult care. That adult care doctors, like, why do you have a right to be here? You need the document in place. Some hospitals will have them. So if you're going to one hospital system, they might have a medical power of attorney or something that can be signed. But if you go out of that system, that is not applicable. Does that help-ish? Okay. Oh, estate planning attorney. Oh, I answered that. Okay, yeah. If I haven't answered something, please somebody keep me accountable. I'm looking at you.
I have two questions on the guardianship. So is the county and the state, is that specific to where you as the guardian live or where the person lives? Okay. And then my second question, if you have guardianship, your disabled child is now an adult and they get in a car wreck and it's their fault, can that individual that maybe they hurt in the car wreck come after you financially as their guardian?
No, it doesn't make you one and the same. It makes you their protector,
Okay.
right? So it'd be the same as somebody got in an accident that have zero assets, right? What are they going to come after?
Okay.
They
great.
don't have stuff, right? So now you would be able to sign the docs, go to court, handle things because you are the guardian, but it's not like you're completely linked in that way. There are protections for a guardian because there's professional guardians out there, right? So not all of us have a backup. They have a system in most counties, unless you're very rural, where a guardian can be assigned. They're called guardian ad litems. They're lawyers by trade, so they know the rules. And so somebody can be assigned as a professional guardian as well, and they would never be able to be held liable.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
So I'm going to give you a chance for a free commercial because why, what do you do? Like, can I just hire you to do all this stuff for me or do you just guide me?
Yeah. I love the commercial. Yeah, let's go. All right, let's go to the end. Skip to the end. Yes, we can do that stuff. This is my team. So let's talk about my team. I worked at a giant insurance company forever and was always a financial planner. Kristen used to do trading on the floor, so she's an investment strategist. And then Dr. Kathy Matthews is a behavior scientist. So the reason we have all these people, let's go back to this one, is because we can all work in these areas. So I'm that super boring human up there. Oh, insurance, tax, and legal. But I have a background in that. I was a recovering accountant, so I used to do tax returns. So I know all the tax law. I know everything about insurance, whether I like it or not. And then I know enough about legal. I will not read you. I'm not going to be the reader of your legal docs, but my partners do like to read them and make sure they're accurate. Kathy does the care plan. So that's why we have her on staff. A lot of our clients started asking us for IEP help, waiver help, Social Security help. And so we hired her as our person that can walk you through those things. And then Kristen loves personal goals. She loves investing. She loves all of that. So this kind of covers all three of us as humans. So we are going to put you through a process of seeing where you are now, where do we need to go, and then what are the gaps. And so one of the exercises we do is a cost calculator. So we're going to try and find a real actual cost of what this wonderful kiddo of yours is going to cost throughout your lifetime and their lifetime. And then figure out how we're going to take care of it. Here is, let's go to the end. This links to my calendar. Dangerous to give to this room, but if you ask, then I will give it to you. But that link goes straight to my calendar. I am the first person you meet. You're going to see this face on that meeting. We're going to ask a million questions of each other. My favorite question that people ask me in a first meeting is, why are you asking me this? There's always a reason I'm asking the questions that I am. But thanks for the shameless plug. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Do you work with people in all states?
I do work in people in all states. Yep. Yes. I don't work with people in Europe yet. We'll try and figure out that system though. I think I talked to a couple foreigners last night that were wanting that as well.
Mary, do you work also with the special needs individual?
Yeah, we have been asked that multiple times lately. We haven't established that yet. We have established post parents passing. So we work with a lot of siblings, a lot of people around the person, because we do have clients that have passed, right? That's how this hall is going to work. And we are trying to figure out a self-advocate model currently. I think it's on a, if I would guess, that would be on a 2026 trajectory, because we do get asked that a lot. I have Altoids and 2 t-shirts, like who wants them? I can send it to them. I would love it to be, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I'll email it to them and see that that's a request, and see too if they get uploaded. I don't know if YouTube can take PDFs, but we'll make it work. I could also give you my card after. I can email it to you directly if you need it. Okay, yeah. Any other burning questions? If you have it in your head, someone else has it in this room. Yes, sir. You're from Canada.
I'm from Canada, so we have different expenses there. But you threw it a bit of a comment. What are the large costs that parents may be looking at over time? And I know there's quite a range.
I love this question. So what are the large
idea?
costs of our kids, right? If we're doing a cost calculator, what is the biggest cost? So, I mean, I'm obviously a proponent of getting on different systems, SSI and Medicaid in our state. You guys have universal healthcare. So I always say healthcare. If you're not on a Medicaid waiver, that healthcare burden is going to really pull down a whole family system. I would say unpaid labor. So everybody's a caregiver in here, so I can say this very bluntly, but if you don't have caregiver services as part of benefits, the caregiving burden is really the hardest thing for us to calculate out. And what you're trying to do is separate parenting duties from caregiving duties. So if you can kind of go back to those ADLs, am I helping you transfer and helping you bathe? Am I helping you do these things? And it's not age appropriate, right? They're not 5, where that's a normal parenting activity to help our kids do that. But let's say they're 20 and they can't use the toilet on their own. They can't shower. So if you can refer back to those ADLs of what you're or any of us are doing for our kids, it's unpaid caregiving is a huge expense for our families. So either you can get on a system in our state on a Medicaid waiver to get caregiver hours, or you're doing it yourself, which a lot of us do. The one thing I do tell people is you can't caregive forever. As much as I would love my Ruth and this wonderful fantasy that I have that she's going to stay with me forever, that's not a reality, especially for our clients that we have in our 70s and 80s. It becomes a lot harder to care for another person when you're older. So we do try and get the notion of them not living with you forever, other housing solutions, because we just can't caregiver forever. And then if you don't have a system that pays for that, you're paying for that out of pocket. Is that helpful? Yeah. I think too, at least in the other rare disease groups I've talked to, science is advancing, which is great. But one time, I think, let's say treatments for our rare disease kids, how are you going to price that out as an insurance company? And that could be a huge cost in the future. So if Ruth's genes could get edited to reverse her specific rare disease, are they going to charge me $1 million to have a one-time cure rather than her being on all the seizure meds she's on and all the other stuff that goes with it? I don't know how they're going to do that. And so that pricing model, when it comes out, could be intense.
If you already have a 529, can you change that to a 529A?
Yeah, let's talk about a 529 to ABLE. So it is the same system. So you can roll it over with no tax implications, but you have to stay under the contribution limit still. So let's say you have 50 grand in a 529, you can put 18K in this year, 19K next year, probably 20 the year after, and you have to just drain it out over years.
Okay.
Now, there's not a huge risk when your child turns 18. We talked about this yesterday. It should not count as an asset for them, even when they're 18. So there's certain whacks you can show people that all the case managers are not going to know this information, right? So it doesn't count as their asset. Now, the only time it would default to them as an owner of that account is if you own it, you pass away and you have no default second owner, they become the owner at 18. Okay. So, and you can change beneficiaries on those at any time. Like I have clients that have twins that their kids are going to an amazing community college, and they're actually just kept it in a 529 because they wanted them to go to this specific program in our state. So we have it pay out one tuition, one day, transfer beneficiaries, and then it changes to the other child in a week, and then we pay the rest of the tuition. So you can always change beneficiaries as well on those. If you have other kids that have other goals, then you can use those funds for college as well.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah. We got a whole 5 minutes, I think. Last minute Texas fan, let's go.
It is Saturday. Just real quick. So we do have all of the self-funded family, the wills pointing at all the elegant tapestry of legal documents, but I've struggled to find how to set up the initial funding. Is that something you would support in the planning process on, accounts or, the actual?
Yeah, totally. So he's talking about what are we putting in this Christmas present that I talked about? Like what are the accounts that are going into that Christmas present and how are we setting them up and making sure they're funded?
Yeah, basically, I've been instructed his first party I don't touch. He's essentially told that that's
just leave that
oopsie money. If it happens to go in there, you put it in there. Everything else,
go to the third.
anything other than the parents goes into the family, and then trying to figure out how I actually set up the.
How do I
the
have
funds.
an account in there?
How do I save up? And
Yeah,
obviously
yeah,
and
definitely.
Consistent with.
Yeah, most of our clients have just an investment account, so an individual account inside of there. So you can set up whatever account you want. You can have a banking, you can have any of those, but yes, of course. The reason we set them up for families is because then we help manage them throughout the whole lifespan. So eventually you're not going to be around. There's going to be a trustee there and hopefully a fiduciary attached to it that can make sure that's going the way you want it to go.
From my experience, financial advisors say they can support the special needs. And then when I talk to them, they start talking to me about retirement planning and shift the subject. So
Yeah.
extremely
'cause
frustrating.
For them, it's so hard to conceive that there's 2 lifetimes to fund. So they're asking you like, when do you want to retire? What do you want to do? And you're like, I'm going to take care of another person. Help me fund that. And how much? So you got to know how much it is. So that's that cost calculator. So if you have a target, just like in retirement planning has target, our target is a cost of care for your child. So we got to get that target and work backwards how we're going to fund it. Yes. Yeah.
Will you also help line up all the Medicaid sleeving, like who I need to contact, what forms I need to fill out?
That's Kathy. I would love that. I'm that person. I have a person on my team that would
Yeah,
love to do that.
They do that. the whole
Yeah,
time.
I try to do everything for everybody. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
So she's that person. Yeah.
When you're doing the cost calculator,
Yeah.
what seems difficult for me is like really knowing what we're gonna be at.
How's the outlook going to be?
Yeah, and what if you miss one way or the other with that?
Yeah, we are not going to, I mean, we're going to do it in today. So how are things today and project out? Now, lots of our clients, lots of things change, year after year. So we do ask for a commitment of time of yours that we're your people so we can renew that and make sure it's accurate. But to the core of your question is usually when should I engage? And it depends on your personality. We have people I had one woman that had a 2-year-old. Now she had a very specific diagnosis. So her outlook was roadmap was pretty obvious. Others are like, I'll wait till they're 15 so I can kind of feel out how this is all going to go. Just depends on you as a planner. How much do you want to go down that road? And then what's happening now? So we can only base on what's happening now. And Kathy, our same person that does that, asked all those questions. So she knows, because she knows all the applications and she knows all the triggers of how these benefits work. She's going to ask all the things that are going on with you now and try and figure that out.
And then if you miss, if things are better than you think they are and you don't need as much money, can you back that back out or?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, to be really honest, don't fund their third-party trusts until they're not here. So we make it, if you're like, I don't know, we will make sure the vehicles are not locked into a specific goal, and then you can pivot if you need to. Right. We always want to be more conservative just in case, so that if it does go great, cool. I don't want to estimate aggressively and then not have enough. Anybody else? I don't actually know how long the session goes. Does it go till 9:30? Okay, great. We got 11 minutes. Oh yeah, my accountability partner. Your mom, your wonderful mom.
Let's say they get married.
Say they get married. Just bring in the bomb. I'm in the room. I like it. Aggressive.
Oh, I'm not scared.
Yeah. So, man, I wish the systems weren't set up this way. Marriage hurts SSI. There's no way around it. They will get less in SSI if they get married. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It will. Now the other systems are okay. The part that gets very, I think, a bit tricky with marriage is guardianship. Do we have 2 people getting married, one guardian? Hopefully they agree on things. They might not. How does that all play out? I think that gets tricky. Not that you can't figure it out. Medicaid should be the same, but SSI will get less.
And that's because the idea that they're
There's two,
sharing
yeah.
living quarters and things like
Correct.
that. Okay.
Correct. I would have to look, and I haven't talked about this, but like, I don't know if Section 8 would also be affected. So Section 8 housing is for people that have low income. A lot of our kids can apply for Section 8, and a lot of the housing are structured to accept Section 8. So that might be affected as well.
So you as the landlord would be able to accept Section 8 housing for your child.
That's a whole nother ball of
Okay, sorry.
craziness, but let's talk about it. So parents do often want to buy houses or condos or something for their kids. You have to purchase that and basically put it in LLC, because Section 8 does not love the idea of a parent owning a house they're paying for and the landlord is benefiting as the parent. So you got to put that in LLC, and every person in that house has to be Section 8 eligible for you to take it. Okay. It does affect things. It just, is it worth it? You know, all the things that come with even going down the marriage road anyway. Anybody else? Made my tech guy work. He should get a prize. You want Altoids t-shirt? He's hustling, man. He's like, anybody else? I got 8 whole minutes. All right. Well, let's get snacks and coffees. And I'll hang out for 8 more minutes. If you have something specific about your family you didn't want to share in front of the group, I'm more than happy to answer those questions too. I'll hang out for 7 whole minutes. Thank you guys for coming.
Either one of them.
Hey, Willa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Hear you.
Okay, perfect. You got, there you are.
All right, is the audio all right?
So we're, hey, Willa, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. You got, there you are.
Hello, Willa, will you mind counting to 10 for us, please?
Can you repeat that?
Willa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Can you count to 10 for us, please?
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
All right, perfect. That's
4.
all we needed. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Hi, Bank.
And we're going to test the live stream. So give us a moment.
Hey, Willa. Hey, Willa.